Hey guys, it's the Witnesses Podcast coming to you with episode 6. Guys, this one is the craziest one yet. We talk about the Niners-Cleveland matchup. We talk about the Cavs. They had their first preseason game October 10th. And much, much more. Guys, stick around. You're going to want to buckle up, buckaroos. Ready, set, TWP. Niners are in Cleveland, 1 p.m. game in the East Coast. Rain scheduled for the entire day. Tom, all the news going around. Is the 1 p.m. game our only advantage playing a West Coast team?
Yeah, the home field advantage at 1 p.m. is our only advantage. Everything else doesn't look great right now, honestly. It's Wednesday. It's October 11th. You know, they've got some time before they actually play on the 15th. But I don't think Deshaun's going to play. What do you think?
No, I don't yet, especially Kevin Stefanski coming out today, which we'll get more into about PJ. It's literally the most unhopeful news we've ever got. What can you look forward to?
Here's the thing. You know, we're not going to win this game. And if Deshaun doesn't play, we're really not going to win this game. And that's okay. We kind of probably already marked this one up as an L. But it was just weird to hear Stefanski talk about the Niners in the press conference. He was kind of gushing about them. And I just got to say, when we're in games or we're about to play games that are going to be competitive, the tone is so different. They're just too transparent. I know they're not saying much, but body language and tone are still readable or whatever the right word for that is. But it was very clear, like, we're not going to win this game, and we might not play a lot of our players if they have any sort of nagging injuries. They were like, oh, I really hope we learn a thing or two after watching this. It's pretty pessimistic. Like I said, we could already have chalked this one up to a loss with a healthy Deshaun, but I don't think he's going to play.
But that's the thing. I know you just mentioned it. That's the thing that gets me a little nervous is if he's healthy and he comes back and he loses, we said it in the first pod, if by week, after the bye week, we don't believe in Deshaun, it might be time to panic. Do you think there's an element here of he actually might he could take a Toradol shot and play, but he's not that good, and so he doesn't want to get abused by the Niners, and then the fans are turning on him?
Yeah, I think he's very concerned with like the way people view him right now. I think he's very concerned with his perception in the media and by the fan base. And so, yeah, I don't think he wants to put out a bad performance. I think he could have played against the Ravens, but similarly, I don't think he wanted to play at 80% or whatever that looks like. And ultimately, it's okay if we lose this game. It's just frustrating because when we're about to play a competitive game, Stefanski comes into these press conferences and he says, we need you fans. We need you to be loud on defense and quiet on offense. We need you to be involved. You're our sixth man. You're our 12th man. You're our advantage here. But when we're clearly not going to win a game, they're just like, the Niners seem very nice. They seem very, wow, golly, how have they done this all with Brock Purdy? They're just so, there's something about there. And the red and gold, it just looks nice. Like,
wish our players could play for the Niners once.
I just don't appreciate it.
Just shielding Deshaun from the media.
Yeah,
that's exactly what's been happening. I agree. I don't appreciate it. Deshaun, he goes on post-game interviews on Twitter to this person named Lockerverse, and you have to download the Lockerverse app to listen to him, and he only does it after wins. And they'll break down his footage, and the guy will be sucking his and telling him, hey, bro, that was a great throw, right? And then he's like, yeah, great throw. And then you get the adversity. Let's talk about your injury. And he's been practicing, but the door's closed. We have 1 p.m. media, and only Kevin is going to speak. Like, what the heck's that about?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get it because we gave him this money. We have him for 4 or 5 years, guaranteed. They have to treat him this way. But it is so frustrating as a fan. Like, there's only so many games in a season. And like, we had a bye week. we basically chalked up an L against the Ravens because we played a 5th-round rookie quarterback. And we weren't expecting to win this game, but it's at home. It's against a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. You want to see what you look like against them. And gosh, like, are we really going to put out our great defense out there and risk some of them getting hurt? Like, play the damn game.
Our fans on Twitter are killing each other. Like, similar to when Tom and we were at the last game and we saw our fans just almost swinging on each other towards the end of the game, which is just how it goes. But I feel like there's part of me that when I look at it from above, it looks like we're imploding and we're going to waste another season. What if so this injury, they say, could take up to 6 and worst case 8 weeks. Are we willing to wait 5 more weeks? And guys, we are not still sold on Deshaun and his throwing ability and him leading us as a quarterback. So it's just like last year where we're going to have to wait till week 11 and we're going to like, oh, he'll be fine. He's going to go crazy. And he might come back week 4, week 5, week 6, but and still have to get better. And then we'll waste another season. And how long can you ask our defense to play lights out when they know when they give the ball to the other side, we're going to turn it over, our longest play is going to be 9 yards? You know, it's just wild.
It's like it's a double-edged sword, you know? Like, you have to cater to him in this way.
It's true.
So
You're
that
right.
you can potentially get something out of it, or so that it doesn't implode, or so that he doesn't freak out. You know, like,
Yeah.
you have to baby him. You have to protect him from the media. You have to protect his throwing arm. Like, I feel so bad for Kevin Stefanski right now because he's on the hot seat. He is on his way out probably, and he has to do whatever Deshaun wants to do. Just a miserable viewing experience right now. Just this waiting game. It's just a miserable waiting game. That's what it is. I think we'll feel a lot better heading into week 6 against the Colts, but right now I'm running full speed at a wall, knowing that the wall is not going to break.
The person that's steering the ship, we don't know who it's going to be, but what we do know today, that PJ Walker will be the backup quarterback if Deshaun's out. 2 weeks after Kevin Stefanski said DTR is for sure our backup quarterback. It's just one game. Tom, PJ Walker, not many people know this, in 2020 was on the XFL, and the way that he blew up was he beat out Cardale Jones as the best quarterback in the XFL. So if that telling you anything about the level of player we're dealing with, if he's playing, do we have a chance at all, and is it better than DTR?
I would say in most games, honestly, we have a decent chance because we have such a great defense, but against the Niners, hell no. Hell no. Absolutely not. I mean, if it's raining and neither team can throw, maybe it's close, but I can't imagine. It is the right call. I like DTR, and I truly don't blame him at all for basically playing on 2 hours' notice. I don't blame Kevin for not having him fully ready. But, you know, like, he had some very promising development in the preseason, and he's an asset moving forward. We want to protect him. PJ Walker is a gladiator right now. He will put his body on the line just to continue to get contracts right now. So that's who you want going in as your backup, is somebody who's willing to just lay it all out there. Because, yeah, that's what we're going to need to do if we want this game to be even close, is he's going to have to be incredible, which I don't see happening, but
I think you do see it, though, because you just painted the picture. It's scheduled to rain the whole day, right? And he's played in the NFL, which is more than we can say for DTR. So
he had an insane Hail Mary last year that
with
I
the
think
Panthers?
the Panthers missed the kick after they had the best Hail Mary touchdown of the season. So, I mean, yeah, he's got an arm and he's super athletic. Like, he can run. So our system probably suits him. Our plays probably suit him.
That's the thing. If you do gun to your head, be optimistic. You go, it's raining. The other team is not ready for PJ Walker from a game standpoint. They don't really have that much tape about him. if he was able to beat out Cardale Jones in the XFL, that means he's got something special, right? And it rains the whole time, and we feed Jerome Ford how we're supposed to, and
well, that's
we
what I
get
was
a
gonna
9
say,
to 12
man.
game.
Yeah, it could be ugly win. If it's a win, it'll be ugly. But that's the thing. You pointed it out. It's like, can we lean on Jerome Ford? Jerome Ford has not been much, and I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know if they've really given him the ball much. It doesn't seem like they have, and they haven't really game planned around him. And I think Kareem has come and provided not much of a spark, maybe a little bit of a spark, but also might be a little bit of a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't really invested in Jerome Ford because we got Kareem to come back. And Jerome is young, and he was an absolute bell cow at the University of Cincinnati. Let him run 20 to 25 times a game. Like, why not? Why are we having these people throw the ball so much? That I will knock Kevin for that. I know, and it's not just your standard throws. It's not stand back in the pocket and read and go with, 4 or 5 options. It's cute trick plays. It's cute screens. It's like, let's take out all the cute shit for 1 second, Kevin, and just, like we like to say, good ISO football, run up the middle, dang it. We have to simplify this and not make mistakes.
It's like Kevin, when he's playing Madden, he only goes to Wildcat or the craziest play in the world. It's like, 4th and 1, wide receiver end around with Elijah Moore. No one's expecting it. It's like, you might be too smart sometimes for your own good. And to your point about Jerome Ford being a bell cow, Damian Pierce gets 20 carries a game and averages like 50 yards a game. And they still have found ways to win games. And I could argue, as a Texan fan, you have more hope for your team than right now as a Browns fan.
That's got to be the game plan for this game. You hope that the defense wreaks havoc against a 7th-round quarterback. And we finally see the chinks in his armor, because right now Brock Purdy looks perfect. He's got like the best QBR in the league, but you can't give him that much credit. He's got McCaffrey, Ayuk, Debo Samuel, like he's got Greg Kittle. His defense is loaded. He's got Kyle Shanahan, who's very smart, who's a very great play caller. He's winning. He's undefeated as a starter. He's playing great football. Love to see him, have some struggles against a good defense. I mean, I rewatched the clips of the Ravens game. Our defense did everything they could to keep us in that game. Like, there was still hope. And if it weren't for a last-second touchdown at the end of the first half, if we went in 14-3 at halftime as opposed to 21-3, you're still hoping. You're still like, that's a 2-possession game. Like, crazier things have happened. But the fact that they got that last-second touchdown really just sucked all the air out of the stadium. And the defense was still performing in the second half pretty well. They only scored 1 touchdown in the second half, the Ravens. So, I don't know, man. I don't know.
We don't feel good about this week, but there's a little optimism, maybe, to look on the next 4 games. We have the Niners, who are undefeated. Then we have the Colts, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. We take a look outside of this week, and we look at the whole picture. Is it all doom and gloom, or is there just a little bit of sunshine in there, buddy?
I do think there's definitely a little bit of sunshine. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, the homer in me is like, yeah, we'll lose to the Niners, but we should win those other 3 games. Like, I think roster-wise, we're better than those 3 teams. But, like, what I've seen the last couple of weeks with Deshaun not playing and Kevin having really good weeks, then really bad weeks, I could see us losing to any of these teams. I mean, the Cardinals should have beaten the Giants, and then they did beat the Cowboys. The Colts beat the Ravens, and the Seahawks are tough. They've been tough. What are we going to do the next 4 weeks? We're going to go 3-1 because we're badasses, and we're a hard-nosed town. We play hard. We're a blue-collar football team.
Honestly, I really could see us squeezing out the win against the Niners if the rain is something. We're used to the rain. They're not. They have,
Are you saying we're going to go 4-0 in these next 4 weeks? You're nuts. I love you.
just we're looking at it. It's a rain, right? And then you have Garner Minshew throwing to Alec Pierce.
We should rip his head off.
Not worried about that. We have the Seahawks, who I'm not worried about Geno Smith. I mean, the guy's 55 years old. Like, it'll be fine. Our guys will get it together.
How long do you think? Do you remember after he beat Russell Wilson week 1 last year? He was like, "They wrote me off, and I didn't write back." How many years do you think he workshopped that phrase? He was so ready to say.
And he butchered it.
I think I just stuck the landing better than he did.
100%.
Like, he's like, "They wrote me off and I didn't write back." It's like, what are you talking about?
I think he tried to trademark it like the next day after. I don't think he thought he was going to get a contract.
Saying they wrote me off doesn't mean that they wrote you a letter.
I didn't write back.
I didn't write back. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. But dude, Pete Carroll's a good coach. Their defense is pretty nice still. And their Kenneth Walker's a dog, dude.
He's a dog.
I love Kenneth Walker. And they've got great wide receivers. Like their worst thing is Geno, but our defense should wreak havoc on somebody like Geno. So I could totally see us winning that game. I still think we're the better squad. I think we should win that game, but it also depends on if we've built a little momentum after beating a undermanned Colts team.
That's the cycle. I could see us winning all the games except the Colts with Garner Minshew and like losing it off a fumble or just something stupid. I do have that optimism just knowing Brock Purdy, Garner Minshew, Geno Smith, and Josh Dobbs are the next 4 quarterbacks. Yeah. But we're traumatized, brother. I think we really are going through something this season. Like I said earlier, like you do you believe what I said? The Texans fans have more hope than Browns fans right now?
I mean, CJ Stroud looks incredible. He's a beast. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day is, do you believe in the future of your team? It's whether or not you think your quarterback is going up or going down. And right now, it's still a huge question mark from Deshaun. I think a lot of people would say he's going down. I'm not really sure. I think he might just be hurt, Like, if he wasn't hurt, maybe he'd be trending upward right now. I'm really not sure. I want to say about these 4 games, I've posed the positive aspect and the cynical aspect. My real nightmare is that we just lose one, win one, lose one, win one. And afterward, we're 4-4 heading into week 9 or week 10 because of the bye. And we're still not sure what we have. We are still not sure about Deshaun. We're still fully relying on the defense. Kevin is still too damn cute with the play calling. Our running game is still a question mark. Like, that's my nightmare. And that's what I hate to admit, feel like is the most realistic scenario to play out. We have an ugly win against the Colts, and then we have an ugly loss against the Seahawks. And then we bounce back in this reunion game with Josh Dobbs, and there's hugs and kisses, and he almost beats us, but we beat them. And we're still just like, who are we?
I feel like you have a leaked script.
Oh my gosh, man. That's what my heart is telling me is going to happen.
We are so fucking traumatized. It is insane. And I think that says a lot about where we are as Browns fans. And I think that could be just the stepping stone to like us rebelling. Or if this really goes south, people are going to riot. People are going to want 7 heads chopped off. And it's going to be even more Jimmy and D in the media trying to do damage control. And, they're really awful at doing that. We've been talking about us not having that much hope. We've been talking about a lot of things. There's a lot of trade rumors going on right now. So, Tom, let me throw it over here. Mm-hmm. Should we make a move before the deadline? And if we do, what should we do?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, if I was Andrew Berry, I would know that my job is on the line. So I would make a splash. I would say, yes, he has to make 1, if not 2, pretty big moves to say, I did everything I absolutely could. And I always feel that way in the offseason, like he filled every hole that we can see. But you never know if things are going to properly, work when the season starts. So I would say, 1, if he can get Garrett Bowles for a decent, I'll say that again. I'll say one, if he can get Garrett Bowles from the Denver Broncos, who is I think 7-year veteran offensive tackle, very good, probably in the prime of his career, pissed off that he keeps losing. I mean, he'd be plug and play. The problem is we gave Jed his 5th-year option earlier, or whatever we did. We signed him, and he's getting paid a lot of money to be bad. So I don't know what to do about Jed. If we could somehow dump him, that would be great. But we probably can't. So you really have to, use your Harvard education to work that one out. Jerry Jeudy is a wide receiver for the Broncos, who we had a lot of rumors that we would go after in the offseason. We already have Elijah Moore. We already have a young wide receiver with untapped potential that just needs to find the right fit. So I no thanks. No thanks on Jeudy. I would take Cortland Sutton just to have another qualified veteran join the room who has played well with crappy quarterbacks his whole career, pretty much. I would look into the Vikings. The Vikings are definitely in fire sale mode right now as well. So if there was anything we could steal from them for cheap, go for it. But we gave up all of our first-round draft picks, so we don't have a lot of ammunition. Andrew Berry's got to get creative, but I think he knows that he's on the chopping block, so I think he's going to try and make something happen. If not one splash move, 2 or 3 mild splash moves.
And are you saying receiver or O-line?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think we need maybe a running back, but who, there's enough running backs who are still on their couch right now. I don't think we need to go pick up somebody's. Yeah, I would take a lineman or a wide receiver. I don't think we really need anything. I mean, are we going to go after a quarterback? We need to go get Kirk Cousins,
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you next.
You were going to say, should we go after Kirk?
Should we go, say, by week 9 or 10, if Deshaun's back and we hate what we're seeing, do we take a flyer on Kirk, who's only making less than $13 million a year, has 1 more year left on his contract? Do we take in Kirk Cousins, who we just need him to do what he does and use our weapons and game manage, which he can do, has proven it? Is that too crazy to say? Because you could get me there in 4 sentences.
No, we can't go after Kirk Cousins, man. We have Deshaun. We have $230 million guaranteed, and the only way that I would go after another quarterback is if we could get rid of Deshaun, but we can't. You can't be paying him that much money and not have him play, which is what we're doing right now. He's not playing, and P.J. Walker, who is in the XFL, is going to be starting this week probably. But no, we can't go after a veteran quarterback. We should have kept Josh Dobbs. We should have just kept him. He's playing well in Arizona. I love that guy.
Well, is an understatement. And he's a good, wholesome person. He has not a bad background. His background's amazing.
Yeah, he's a very smart guy.
What he studied, and he's a great TikTok presence. He loves Christ. Gosh, we just need people that love Christ. And he can give you hope. They're already talking about me. He might beat Kyler Murray out, and that's a different story. But one thing I want to say about the running backs. Mary Kay Cabot dropped an article before Jonathan Taylor re-signed and was like, the Browns need to make a move for Jonathan Taylor. Can we take a step back? We have Jerome Ford. We have Kareem Hunt, who's going to be in physical condition in the next 4 weeks. We have Pierre Strong and a million other pieces that we've spent so much money on. We don't need a running back. You can't replace Nick Chubb. Stefanski's going to have to be smarter than the players that we have available. So Jonathan Taylor talk, I'm so glad he re-signed. I'm so sick of hearing we need Jonathan Taylor. And then what? And then what is that going to do? Kevin Stefanski is going to run 20 end-arounds with him, put him as quarterback, and say, we're going to run Wildcat this quarter. I don't want a running back. I honestly don't even want to make a move unless we can get rid of Jed, but it's really tough to get rid of a person who on film seems like he's taking plays off. But I don't blame the guy. He doesn't know what quarterback is going to start the last 3 years. He doesn't know. They're telling he has to block a little longer now, and he's getting used to that because of Deshaun. And then the next 4 weeks he'll have PJ Walker, and then after that we'll get somebody like Kellen Mond back from the practice squad, and he'll have to readjust. So can't blame a guy. I know we're mad at him. He's making almost $15 million a year, but it's really tough when you don't know what quarterback you're going to have for which stretch.
I mean, yeah. Why would you go out there? Because tackles, they fight edge rushers, the most violent and athletic people on the field. So yeah, I hear you on Jed. He's just a freaking ego waffle, man. It's so disappointing how bad he's been pretty much the whole time he's been here. He's been at best okay, and at worst really, really bad. Yeah, Kevin's too cute, man. Like, we haven't committed enough to the run to know if our running backs are any good. Like, everyone's like, oh, our running backs suck. It's like, have we given them much of a chance? Like, I don't think Jerome Ford's had more than 10 rushes a game. It's like, how do you think he is bad if you haven't seen him play? You got to give him a chance. Nick Chubb would break people down, you know. By the fourth quarter, he would start to average 10 yards a carry. But that was after, you know, several quarters of hitting people at the line of scrimmage and fighting for 2 yards, and then boom, breaks one. And I feel like that's how Jerome Ford could play.
Mm-hmm. I think next week is going to say a lot about Kevin Stefanski. What kind of game plan is he going to do when there's not an excuse that you didn't know Deshaun is not going to play? Like, there better be a game plan for this. So I throw this question to you. If it all goes south, right?
Yeah.
Who's getting fired first, Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry?
I mean, if somehow they make it through the season and they still want to fire them, just do it at the same time. I mean,
you're saying both?
Yeah, Jimmy Haslam, you know, he's got a lot on his plate now with the Milwaukee Bucks. So just bring them both in and just tell them, hey, you know, you're a smart guy. You're Ivy League educated, and you've been committed to the franchise for this amount of years, and you're gone. And they're going to be like, oh, are you talking to me or him? And he's going to just say yes. Yes. But, okay, in reality, what's actually going to happen, I think Kevin Stefanski would definitely go first. And Jim Schwartz could step right in. I think Jim Schwartz could be a head coach.
I would be so happy to see Jim Schwartz there as the main guy, and just to see who he offers as offensive coordinator. I've seen a lot of people make excuses for Stefanski and say, like, Baker bad shoulder, then Deshaun half a season, blah, blah, blah. Name 4 plays that you've been like, wow, those are amazing. I can name 4 plays every Andy Reid game, every Kyle Shanahan game. Kyle Shanahan has cool Ferraris, and he doesn't get too jazzed up and start making end arounds like when they shouldn't. Deebo Samuel runs the ball just like we try to do Elijah Moore, but he runs it in a way where it makes sense. You're not questioning him. There's 2-point conversions that happen, and you're like, that's such a smart play by that coach. Our 2-point conversion is like, hopefully somebody ran one cool the week before so we can either copy it or get a 10 tight end set. So it's really, really frustrating. But yeah. I think you got a great point, though, about my man Jimmy.
With his play calling, I don't know. Kevin, like, there are moments where I'm like, wow, you're really getting the most out of your players. And there are moments where I'm like, you're so committed to this stupid playbook that you've come up with that, like the running backs. Like, we have no idea if our running backs are good because you're running these stupid delays, these draws, these, hey, I'm going to, like, trick everyone. Running plays. It's like, just run zone, like outside zone, inside zone. Follow the fullback. Follow the pulling guard. What's happening? And same thing with the passing game. Like, have you ever heard of quick slants? Dude, like, Donovan Peoples-Jones has 75 yards over 4 games. And I know he's our 3rd wide receiver, but what's going on? All of our wide receivers combined have 1 touchdown. Our wide receivers don't suck that bad. They're not good, but his play calling, I think, is ass.
1 touchdown is crazy.
It's bad. It's really bad.
That's awful.
And it's Amari Cooper, of course. But
of course. And it's always 4th and long. It's always 3rd and long. And it's like, bail us out. Throw the flag. Please. Just like you were saying on our last podcast. Guys, smash that subscribe button. You would have listened to that before this one came out. But it's wild to how we can sit there And like I'm honestly one of the greatest Madden players, and I try
No,
not
he's
to
not.
like
I kick his ass every time.
in Madden 11.
Okay. Probably like Madden 16.
We've had this conversation. He won't pay the $75 for the game that doesn't change every year just so he can prove if he's better. Guys, honestly, I'm one of the best Madden players that I know personally. And it's sometimes I sit there with my controller in my hand and I'm like, I know what to call right here. I know we got to go trips right and hand it off. I feel like I can call the game better than Stefanski, and probably every fan does after 5 Michelobes, but I'm on 0 Michelobes at that time, and I can just see it. So if somebody like me, who I'm only good at Madden, I'm not good in real life football, feels like he can play call better, I trust that more than what I have seen for the last, feels like 30 years of just straight Ivy League potential coach.
I would love it if somebody came in as an OC afterward, because we are committed to Deshaun. If we had somebody come in and just say, like, my whole playbook is going to be whatever Deshaun wants it to be, because that's where we are. We've guaranteed years of this guy. So I don't think it's a perfect pairing to have Deshaun play with Stefanski calling plays, because Stefanski really wants to prove that he's smart, that he's creative, that he knows the analytics and what statistically works all the time. He is one of the best play callers for an opening script. His opening drive is amazing. His second drive is ass, and every drive following that, there's no adjustments. There's no getting used to what the defense is giving you. He cannot improvise. He cannot make adjustments.
And I think you see in the NFL a lot of times it is the quarterback is there and everyone coming in to interview goes, this is how we can make the quarterback great. And this is a scenario where we paid the guy at the time the most money at quarterback and we brought him in after, and the coach just had to, he's never had a quarterback like this. I think that makes more sense, is having people interview to be Deshaun's right-hand man and be that mouthpiece that he obviously needs at this moment.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cleveland, guys, a lot of doom and gloom talk, right? This has been a great cathartic podcast, but definitely not like the Steelers one. There's a lot of things. On October 10th, the Cavs played their first preseason game. And, guys, there was a lot of things to take away from this, even though it's the first preseason game. Tom, I'm going to start. I'm going to tell you how I felt.
Yeah.
I love the red jerseys. That's all I'm going to say that. We look great just having Cavs jerseys on there. I noticed that having three-point shooters is pretty neat. You can kind of space the heck out of that floor. Evan Mobley was, he shot a three. I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but Isaac Okoro went off. Imani Bates knocked down threes when it mattered. Ty Jerome, who got 3 fouls in 4 minutes, he looked good. His shiftiness is something that I did not know that he had. I think that's going to pair very, very, very well. Tom, your thoughts on the last preseason game, and does this just get you right back? Because this is better than Summer League. It feels like we can cling on a little bit more.
Well, I do have a point about Summer League, but yeah, no, this gets me very amped for the season. I mean, Max Strus came out, hit the first shot of the game, and it was a 3-pointer, and it looked good. I mean, everybody looked good, and the team looks very much the same, plus what we needed, shooting. Like, Niang had a couple of threes. Strus had a couple of threes. Yeah, Ty Jerome is not fast, but he's very quick. Like, he's very shifty. He's got great agility. So I do think he'll be a very solid backup point guard. Okoro actually had the most points this game. Mm-hmm. But I think that's also because they probably gave him more time. The starters didn't play a ton. But, yeah, man, this team looks good. And by the end of the game, it was pretty much just the Summer League cast out there playing, plus either Tristan Thompson or Dean Wade, which, that's to be expected with Tristan. I don't know how much he's going to play this year. We said that recently. But Dean Wade got pretty solid playoff minutes, and now he's basically running with the Summer League guys. Dean Wade, honestly pretty high ceiling because he's 6'9", 6'10", and he can shoot threes, and he's pretty athletic. But if Imani Bates is behind him and he can shoot, and he can dribble and, he can make plays, Dean, you better step up. I know when Kevin Love left, that was a big shot to Dean Wade because I guess they were very close and he looked at Kevin as a mentor. And, he really, really underperformed after Kevin left, especially in the playoffs. But you got guys like Okoro and Dean Wade who really need to step up this year because we have a lot of good young guns that I'm excited about. Craig Porter was out there. Sharif Cooper was out there. Sam Merrill, Isaiah Mobley. I'm excited about this young core. And they went undefeated in the Summer League, which means absolutely nothing. But they're not afraid of the moment. They're not afraid to take big shots. Mm-hmm. Imani Bates hit a 10 seconds left in the game, go-ahead 3. And it wasn't like he hit one in the corner off a great pass. It was a dribble step-back 3 in the eye of a defender. It was badass. Yeah, man, they look good. They look really good. And I think Donovan, for what it's worth, looked more comfortable with the crew. Karis LeVert looked more comfortable with his role. I'm excited, dude. I'm very excited. How are you feeling about him? And yes, I agree. The red jerseys look mint. There was
a viral TikTok of somebody grilling our jerseys saying minimalism is so bad. Look at how bad these jerseys are. They haven't obviously seen them with the lights on and the hardwood floors, but one thing that I really want to take away is I have always respected Isaac Okoro, and I think what we asked of him last year to be that knockdown three-point shooter because we just didn't have any options we're asking a little too much from a guy who he plays his best when he can cut, get the ball, make a layup, when he has space. We had no depth when we went into the playoffs, so that's something really exciting, and I think the more that you can space this floor, the more that people know exactly what their responsibilities in, and Isaac Okoro coming back from injury can just do what he does best instead of being forced to do something else. We might have an Imani game once, an Isaac Okoro game, a Karis LeVert game, who he did have a couple of those last year, and then a Max Strus game. Like, the ceiling it could go anywhere, and I think that's the most exciting part. You had Donovan Mitchell set the expectation in the press conference. I could still be here. All the fans are back, riled up, and then you see a product that just gives you hope. Is that how you feel? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love your point about Okoro because our offense, yes, was trying to fit square pegs in round holes last year. Okoro is not a wide-open knockdown three-point shooter. Karis LeVert is a good shooter off the dribble, but he doesn't like to stand still and shoot. Those are both great slashers. And I wanted to say this about Okoro. He is an elite defender, and he does have elite athleticism. Like, he's the kind of guy where his defensive stops, if he gets a couple fast breaks, he could take over a game for a stretch of time. For a couple of minutes, he could score 10 minutes quickly. But, that's if you have that threat of three-point shooting. And Strus and Yang and some of these other guys now, I love it. We have all of the roles that you would want on an offense. I also think it might help the big men who were entering this season thinking, I need to get better mid-range shooting. I might need to add three-point shooting. Like, no, actually, maybe they can fit into a more traditional big man role, and that could be good for, Jarret Allen, Evan Mobley, and our other bigs, our backup bigs. I'm excited that we have the full spectrum of role players and star players, and everybody might be able to, excel at what they should excel at.
Absolutely. And one thing, just real quick, is one of the first couple plays of the game, get the ball, and they just clear out. They're like, Mobley, try it out. Just see if you can just knock somebody down. And he missed, but he made a great play, turned around, shot the ball, and he just looked more confident. He looked like if we actually try to get him in the game plan, that was something that we tried to do with Kevin Love when we had the big three. It was important to get Kevin flowing early because that is just the kind of player he is. And I very much feel that about Evan Mobley. And I think just seeing Donovan Mitchell throw him the ball and then not pout for the ball back and just say, hey, I really trust you, bro. You 7 pounds of muscle, looks dope. let me see what you got. There's been some trade rumors with the Cavs. Sticking here with the Cavs, Jarret Allen is out for at least 2 weeks with an ankle injury. Rumor is that he might be there for the first game of the season, but it could extend with the type of injury he has. So that means Damian Jones and Tristan Thompson are our 2 backup centers on the roster, as you call a center. So, Tom, I'm getting all hot and bothered listening to all these people today talk about the potential of OKC. They don't have a center. It's just Chet, and we'll get into what Chet means to the NBA, but they might make a move. They have the pieces. Presti has all of the ammo to go out and grab a Jarret Allen, right? And say we do good without him and he comes back, then it makes him, we could trade him.
You know, I was more open to it until the last slide we did really made me believe that it might be a good time to stand pat on Jarret Allen. Because also, you know, last year when he basically didn't have an offensive role last year when he had one the year prior, where we would kind of feed him the ball. But last year it was kind of like Evan Mobley or bust in terms of going down low because they would just crowd the lane. We didn't have three-point shooting, or at least reliable three-point shooting. And so it might be the perfect time for him to kind of have a bounce-back year. I mean, 2 years ago he was an all-star. Last year we had Donovan Mitchell, and we had a little bit of a lack of chemistry and
no training camp.
And people had a lack of clarity with what their role was. Or they were trying to do too much. Isaac Okoro was trying to do too much. Mitchell's trying to do too much. Mobley's trying to do too much. Like, these guys all were trying to do things that aren't why they made it to the NBA. And Jarret Allen made it to the NBA because he's 6'11", and he can dunk, and he can block shots. If that's all he needs to worry about, it might be the perfect time for him. So I'm not actually interested in trading unless the Thunder give us an offer we can't refuse, which we gave up all of our... They have the pieces. They gave up, or we gave up everything to get Donovan. We gave up 4 first-rounders, so I would like to get some first-rounders back. But having said that, like, to get what? Some people down the road? We have Jarret Allen. We know what we have in Jarret Allen, and honestly, he's solid. He's a solid 4th or 5th option on a really good team. So I don't want to trade Jarret Allen. I want to hold on to him, and at least because there's the trade deadline, you know, and things always pop off around the trade deadline. So I want to give him a chance.
I've heard from some sources that if Damian Jones and TT and then Isaiah can come into this role, if he does good, it could be a way out for Kobe to use this move as how many picks can I get back, so if Mitchell's gone, I can keep my job. There is that angle that we definitely need to monitor going into the trade deadline, but I agree with you right now. Let's all chill. And it's really funny how it ebbs and flows, where you want to kill him one day and one day you want to keep him as your centerpiece, literally and figuratively.
So, I mean, things are looking up for the Cavs, and in terms of the Browns, we'll see. We will always see. But this has been another episode of TWP, the Witnesses Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. We really appreciate you guys listening, viewing, subscribing, clicking, engaging. Please keep commenting. Tell me I suck, please. And I'll tell you, you suck right back. Zach, let's get out of here. TWP.